I can't believe you just talked about this Neville technique because I want to tell you a little story that relates right back to it. So about 6 weeks ago, right here in this studio, sitting across from me was Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I asked him about affirmations and he said, you know what, Brian, I don't like affirmations because of this. He's like, what I want you to do is be exactly what you just described. I want you to have that future now. And he said, you know what, Brian, I'm about to do a 7-day retreat at the Excel Center. Why don't you drop by? And I thought, why don't I drop by? So I did. And I didn't go the whole 7 days, but I spent about 5 days. And I did one of his walking meditations. And during those, it's guided about an hour and 10 minutes. And you kind of stand up and then walk and stand up and walk. And you basically execute, at least what I'm getting from it is a version of this Neville technique that you describe, and it's been supremely powerful. And again, Dr. Joe saying some of the things you're saying now is like, experience the future now, experience it now and feel it now. And you know, this is something I'm very guilty of, if I'm honest, and maybe a lot of people listening are, is that I'm kind of this, one day I'll have this and then I'll be happy. One day I'll have this and then I can get it. And one day I'll have this. And until then, I'm going to suspend all of my celebrations and I'm going to have this anxiety and anger until I get that. And of course, when I do get these things, I never remember to pay myself back for all the feelings because then it's on to the next goal. Now, I'm the worst at this. I'm sure a lot of people listening are. And so I've been doing these walking meditations, strangely enough, and I'm clearly tapping into the quantum field because I manifested you here today as well to reaffirm these things. But I've been like smiling to myself as I'm doing these walking meditations because I'm actually experiencing it now. And it's an incredible feeling to just be like, it already happened because I could see it and it already happened. So I'm always celebrating it because I know it's going to happen. The only thing I don't know is the little details, which will surprise me along the way. What's the color of the Lamborghini, right? What's the rounding error on the net worth? You know, what's the name of the plane? Whatever it is. And so I've actually been living this practice and I've been doing these walking meditations pretty much every single morning since. So London sees me walking around and I'm smiling and I'm standing on my own on the side of a road for 20 minutes. And I've been doing this. And so I can concur that this Neville technique, again, it's more of a black belt move, like we said earlier, but it is what I've been looking for after I've gone through the white belt and the blue belt and the purple belt techniques of doing the affirmations. This is it, Joe. And I'm a huge fan of it. And I appreciate that you're articulating it because it's really feeling right for me and it's working for me. And again, one other thing that Dr. Joe said, and I want to go back to you, is he said, look, until you change who you are, you can't change your reality. So it does come back to you and ownership, and you do have to become a different person. And when I'm out there walking this realization, I'm smiling and I'm thinking, okay, I do need to be someone else. I need to be the person that can embrace this, that can bring it in, and maybe I need to be happier in the moment. Maybe I need to be X, Y, or Z. But I think it's a really powerful technique, and I'm really glad you put it in the book. I think it's number 8. And I think you described it really well.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought up Dr. Joe because I'm a big fan of his. One of the honors I had is we both spoke in Russia and in the Ukraine together. We were on stage.
Wow.
And so I'm a big fan. I love his books, love what he's doing, and he brings more of the science behind the Neville technique. Neville just kind of spoke from his heart and was a mystic channeling wisdom. But Dr. Joe is going to give you the facts and the tests and the experiments and the results.
Yeah, no, and it's great. It's great to have all these different angles of something. And I always say, you know, there's this phrase, it takes a village. And for any one person, oftentimes they'll need different people to kind of bring them different concepts to click at different points in their life. So yeah, it's always great to have these things articulated. And it's been a powerful technique for me, and I'm going all in on it. So I've been doing these things for 20 some days in a row, and they're really working. And let me just say one more thing, Joe, is that, you know, I'm the guy that's super fortunate to be having conversations like this with you. And a lot of people watch a lot of episodes on London Real. And yet we still need to be sometimes reminded that, you know, we can go even deeper on the things that we think we know. So yeah, you know, Dr. Joe Vitale, yeah, I've had him on the show before, but are you really doing the Ho'oponopono? No, you're not, Brian. So it's like, even though I'm familiar with these, I've just recently embraced this stuff from Dr. Joe. And again, I had Dr. Joe on the show 5 times before, never been to one of his things before, finally did. And I'm finally like slapping myself in the back of the head, like, wow, of anybody in this world that should have been aware of these techniques and using them, maybe it should have been me, and I wasn't. And now I'm going deeper on it. So I would just say to anybody else who's watched the movie The Secret, gotten one of your books, even watched you on the show before, they can definitely go deeper on these techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about different techniques, and we've been talking about my book, Your Unlimited Self. But I'm wondering, how spontaneous are you? Because I have a new technique that's not in the book, because I just finished writing the web copy for it yesterday. And I'm really excited about this. And this demonstrates a lot of things that I do in my life. One of them is I follow inspiration. I'm not looking at data reports. I'm not looking at what people have answered on a survey, because I'm a big believer in what Henry Ford said. If he had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. You know, they didn't say they wanted cars or Lamborghini. And I have created a way to go to the past, to change the past, and because of that, to go to the future and create the future you want. Can I explain that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'm calling it a mental time travel system. And that's where I put the website, mental time travel system. And the research that I've come across with all of the deep dives I've done is that we can't change the facts of the past, but we can change our perceptions of the past. Now, this ties into everything we've been talking about in this episode, because I talked about Ho'oponopono. I talked about Ho'oponopono changing the perceptions. And where are they? They're in your subconscious mind. So we want to change our perceptions. And why do we want to change this? Because the limitations we're living from right now, we created in the past. We didn't create them today. We might have reinforced them today, but most likely we've reinforced them 100 times or more since first acquiring them in the past. So the first level of this mental time travel system is to go to the past, relive an experience that we feel is where we had acquired the limiting belief. But this point, we relive it separate from being in it. So we're an observer. Now we're watching the movie. We're also paying attention to what were the conclusions we made. If somebody was yelling at you as a little kid, you might have concluded, well, I'm not lovable. I'm not likable. People are upset around me, which might be one of the reasons why you're not in a relationship now. So what if you can go to the past and write a new story? Go ahead and create a new narrative. Go ahead and create a new belief. The beliefs being something to the effect of, well, my parents or whoever we're fighting had their own thing going on. It had nothing to do with me. You can bring the awareness of an adult's consciousness back to the past where you had created the limitation. Once that is resolved and released, which is very much another clearing technique, you return to the moment. This moment, now you have more power. Now you can go into the future to create what you want to have, do, or be, because the limitation that was preventing you from doing that is now gone. So I have created a whole program, this mental time travel system, and using audios where I narrate it to guide people to the past and guide them to the future. And I want to say one more thing. I've been inspired by you, Brian, in a lot of different ways. I followed you on Instagram, saw the athletics you were doing, see what you've been doing for years now with this whole program. I started my own TV show online, Zero Limits Living TV. And what's happening with Zero Limits Living TV is that I am learning, much like you, from the experts I have on the shows. So one of them was Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who had written a book about called Your Personality Isn't Permanent. And that was part of the inspiration and the spark to create this new program that I'm going to be releasing any moment now, because he pointed out, whatever you think you are, whatever you think your personality is, it's not permanent. It's composed. You can uncompose it, decompose it, rewrite it, recreate software. I remember reading his book and just being profoundly inspired. And then when I had him on my show, we talked about the future self, which is part of the mental time travel system, because we now go into the future to create the version of us that we've been longing for, our ideal self. So I'm not stopping when it comes to clearing techniques, and I'm not stopping when it comes to writing more books. I think I've had 5 more books since I've seen you last.
The Greedy Bankers, are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.